Alright, welcome to our first day of QuickBooks here. We're going to rush through setting up our QuickBooks to handle our Monopoly game. When you first open QuickBooks, you should get this set up here. And we're actually going to do the advanced setup. We could do the express start and make changes later. And we're still going to have to make some changes, but let's do the advanced setup for now. If this was a real company, you'd put your whole company name in there. I'll just call this Monopoly Test. And you put your street address, all that good information. Type of industry, when you choose a type of industry, it's going to set up a whole bunch of different accounts that it thinks you're going to need for it. The closest for our sake is going to be this real estate brokerage or developer, so we're going to use that. It'll set up some things that we want. We're probably going to want to go in later and make changes to that. The type of business, we are a sole proprietorship or partnership. Doesn't really matter which one you choose there for our sake. Obviously, if this was your own business, you'd choose the type of business that you have. We're going to do my fiscal year starts in January. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to create an administrative password right now. I'm not worried about security. This is just for class. So it's going to create my file, Monopoly Test. Sounds good. Save. Takes a couple minutes for it to save itself. So, what do we sell, right? For our company, we're really just selling services. We're renting properties, so we'll check services only. Do we charge sales tax? No. Do we want to create estimates? No, we don't create estimates in our business. Maybe if I were a contractor, I'd want that. But am I going to use billing statements? Billing statements are sent to customers to list charges accumulated over a period of time. Yes, I might want to do that since we're not paying rent immediately. We're building up charges, although we're probably just going to use invoices, but we want it as an option, so we'll say yes. We definitely want to use invoices, and we don't want to use progress invoicing. We aren't going to send invoices for partial payment or anything like that. Error message, that's fine. Managing bills, yes, of course I want to keep track of the bills that I owe. Do I want to keep track of time? Nope, because I'm not, and right now, no, we don't have employees, so no. Next we have to set up our chart of accounts. We're going to, for your sake, you probably want to use today's date. I'm just going to click beginning of the fiscal year for now. Shouldn't matter a whole lot. Most of these accounts for our game we don't really need. These are things that you typically use if you are a real estate broker, but our game is fairly simple, so I'm going to uncheck most of these. The expenses that I want are going to be the miscellaneous expense. I do want rent expense for when I land on other people's properties. I don't need telephone, I don't need utilities, I don't need to ask my accountant. Now I've created my file, so let's go to setup. Next thing I'm going to need to do is add the people I do business with. So if I had those already some other format, I could import them, but I'm just going to enter them manually. And so I would put my competitors, so company name. Now for our sake, TVP Properties might be both a customer and they might also be a vendor, so I'm actually going to put them in twice. So TVP-C is the customer, and TVP/-V is the vendor, because I might land on Troy's space and have to pay rent, or he might land on my space and be my customer and have to pay me rent. So all my opponents are going to go in here, and they're actually going to go in there twice, both as a customer and as a vendor. So put all of your opponents in customer, put them in as vendor, and once you've got all of those listed, you can put first name, last name, email, etc. if you want to, but for our purposes you really just need a name. Hit continue, and then we should put in what products and services you sell. Normally I would do, the only one I'm going to do right now, later we'll go and add to this, but we'll call it rent. And you know, this is really the service that I sell. When people land on my property, I charge them rent. Now, in theory, I could go and have a whole bunch here. I could have rent, rent for boardwalk, and rent for Park Place, and you know, set the price. And I could even say rent for boardwalk with 1 house, rent for boardwalk with 2 houses. That way I wouldn't have, I'd be able to quickly fill it in on an invoice. But for our sake right now, let's keep it simple and let's just have one thing called rent. Go ahead and hit continue. Looks good. And lastly, I should add a bank account, and I'm going to call this my cash account. And I don't really need to give it a number. Well, I'll give mine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My opening balance would be how much cash I actually have, and we can go back and later fix this if we need to. But if we were just starting the game, of course my opening balance would be $1,500. You'll want to put in whatever your actual opening balance for cash is. No, I don't want to do this. So now we should be all set, but we still need to go and make a few changes. This Accountant Center, you can get to it by clicking on that Accountant button. It's probably one of the more valuable things we can do there. We can get our balance sheet, we can get our profit and loss sheet, but we can also get to things like our chart of accounts. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to make it large. Notice it's kind of like a window inside a window. I can shrink it down and move it, but I can also make it big. And there are a lot of assets that are still in here that I don't really need to keep track of for the sake of my game, and there are a couple that I don't have that I'd like to have. So I do have sales, that's good. I don't need inventory asset. I don't have inventory, so I can delete account, or from now on I'll just hit Control D and get rid of those. Yep, I want to get rid of that. I don't need accumulated depreciation. I don't need furniture and equipment. I don't need a drawing account. I do want that owner's equity. Actually, I'm going to get rid of that one though and change my opening balance equity account. Click on that, sorry. I want to edit the account. I want to just call it owner's equity. The owner's balance equity is the one that gets default set up when you first open your account, and so we'll just save that one. We're just going to change it to the name of, oops, that's not exactly what I want to change it to. We'll just change it to equity. There we go. Sales income, yep, I don't need cost of goods. I do need a couple other accounts though. I need a fixed asset for all my properties. So I'm going to give it the name properties. You might want to call this both your properties and buildings. So that's where I'll keep track of my assets that are fixed, my properties, all my buildings and stuff. And then also I need another income account for my miscellaneous income. for all those other things, like when people have to pay me money because they landed on a chance card that said they'd pay me money. So I might have some miscellaneous income. Those really are the accounts that I want to have set up. So now that I've got my chart of accounts set, I can close it, and I'm pretty much ready to go. So the next main page that I would go to is this home page. And I'll come back next time and we'll talk a little bit about creating invoices and creating bills, how to receive payments, record deposits, write checks, etc. So join me next time for that.